So here's the deal. That early phone in your grandparents' house, did it look like this? It did not. I'm so old that I remember, and boy, most of you will have no clue what this means. I'm so old that I remember person-to-person long-distance phone calls through an operator. And I remember collect calls through an operator. And my first home, by the way, you can tell I'm an old guy. I think I'm the only person in the room with a necktie on. So I think that tells you how old I am. So anyway, I remember in my first home as a boy, there was a long hallway, and at the end of the hallway by the bedrooms was a table, and it was called a telephone table. And on it was a black telephone that was a rotary dial. And here's a question. Is there a new black rotary dial telephone factory in the Cedar Hill future plans? The answer is no. When a paradigm shifts, everyone goes back to zero. That's worth writing on the back of your handout. When a paradigm shifts, everybody goes back to zero. When the rotary dial phone was obsolete, nobody built any more of them. There's an interesting story in Plano, Texas, that they announced with great fanfare a number of years ago now, a new factory. It was going to be the biggest factory in the country, and they built it, and it opened, and it was the last factory in the country building fax machines in a big way. They built them just before email hit and other technology hit. Let me give you another example. I'm an old guy, and I remember movie theaters with one screen. I know that seems impossible. And the seats were all flat. They were not stadium. There was a place called Hollywood USA in Garland that opened, I don't know, late 80s, early 90s, and it immediately became a dollar theater because it was the last theater in the Dallas area that did not have stadium seating. That's when things changed. When a paradigm shifts, everybody goes back to zero. So this is the Paradigm Shift Conference. And the word paradigm was coined by Thomas Kuhn in a book called The Theory of Scientific Revolutions. And what he said was that a paradigm is a set of boundaries, let's call it a box, with a problem-solving system within those boundaries. So this is how we solve a problem. How do you have a telephone call? You plug in cables into the home, you get a black rotary dial phone. And he says a paradigm shifts when, I'm putting it in my language, you get outside of the box and you've got the same problem, but you have a new system to solve that problem. A paradigm shift is a new system to solve problems. Well, the big paradigm shift today is something called artificial intelligence. And it's a good thing because I know some people with some pretty bad intelligence. That's a joke. So, artificial intelligence. So, on the back of your handout, I want you to write a few things, and here we go. Number one, news items. News items. And I've got two. In the last week and a half, it was announced that we now have a stethoscope that will listen to a human heart and immediately diagnose heart disease. Holy mackerel. That is a game changer in health. That's number one. Number two news item. Some of you are not old enough to have ever heard of the name Orson Welles. One of the greatest movies ever made was Citizen Kane. He had an unfinished movie when he died. It's got 48 minutes that were not filmed. This week, it was announced that AI is going to put the actors onto the screen and finish Orson Welles' movie. Holy mackerel. All right, now kind of draw a line on your white sheet, and I want you to write down 5 things to know about AI before we get to the actual content of co-intelligence. And so here we go. Get ready to list. I'm a teacher, and I do these book synopses. I have presented over 660 book synopses over the last 27 and a half years. And by the way, Vanessa, where's Vanessa? Sorry, somewhere. There she is. Vanessa at the Cedar Hill Chamber of Commerce sets up a Zoom room on the first Friday of the month where you can attend and watch it on Zoom at no cost to you. So if you want to learn 2 books a month, First Friday book synopsis, you can do that with Vanessa. But here are 5 things you need to learn about AI or know about AI. Number 1, 4 minutes. Write that phrase down, 4 minutes. In the book, The Thinking Machine, about Jensen Huang and NVIDIA, there is this little tidbit that when ChatGPT, by the way, GPT is generative, pre-trained, transformative. Those are the 3 key elements, and I don't have time to elaborate. But when they were ready to train ChatGPT 3, they trained it on the big NVIDIA computer. Trained means, this is my poor human description, it read everything and watched every video that was capable of being read and watched. It trained on all of it. Not in 4 months, not in 4 weeks, not in 4 days, not in 4 hours, but it trained it entirely in 4 minutes. Holy mackerel. That is everything it needed to learn in 4 minutes. That's what you call computation speed that is unbelievable. Number 2, trillion, write this down, trillions, not billions. Today's AI is trained on trillions of words with trillions of pixels in video, an amount no human could get close to in reading or seeing in a lifetime. The reason that the AI diagnosis of X-rays is so much better already than human diagnosis is that the most experienced diagnostician has a lifetime of X-rays to look at, and AI has every digital X-ray to look at. And so that's the key. Number 3, write this down. AI sees and hears and talks. Number 4, AI is your new co-worker. I want you to just kind of put an imaginary seat at the table you're at right now. AI is sitting in that seat. It is your new co-worker. Number 5, it is, write this down, faster than you think. And what I'm really saying there is, in the book, The Thinking Machine, we have lived for years with something called Moore's Law, that the size of a transistor will shrink to half every 12 to 18 months. It will shrink to half in cost, and it will double in capacity every 12 to 18 months. That is now obsolete. It is now in the Empire of AI by Karen Howe about ChatGPT. It is shrinking in half, doubling in capacity, shrinking in price every 3 months and 4 days. That is a lot faster, but that's too slow. We're now having exponential speed leaps. So that's what's happening with AI. So everybody turn to the person next to you, take 20 seconds and say, here's the one of those 5 that grabs me. Ready? Everybody go. All right, let me have you back up here. And so let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if you've ever read a book. Okay, good. Raise your hand if you've ever bought other books to read and they're sitting on a shelf and you never finish them. All right, hands up. All right, how about this? Have you ever read a book and a week or 2 weeks later, somebody mentions the book and you said, I've read that. And they say, good, tell me what it's about. And you have a brain freeze. Have you ever had that happen? All right. Here's my promise to you today. If you will listen well, mark this up, and then take this one time in the next 3 to 4 days and reread the entire handout. I won't be able to read it all to you. If you do that, you will learn what is in this book. This book is called Co-Intelligence, Living and Working with AI, written by Ethan Mollick. He is a professor. It is the most practical book that I have read on the value of AI. Now let me pause a minute. I don't present books on how to use ChatGPT for this task. There are lots of books on that. But I have presented 14 books on artificial intelligence. When I say presented, I mean prepared handouts like this and presented full synopses of them. And I'm beginning to get a feel. It's taken me 14 books to begin to understand what deep learning means, what machine learning means, what AlexNet was, what CUDA was. All of these are techie phrases that people who work in AI understand. But let me boil it down to this. In the old days, meaning not too many years ago, a computer did this, and then it did this, and then it did this, and then it did this, sequential. It was very fast, and it got faster and faster, but it still only did one thing at a time. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, says that old computers were simply calculators and typewriters. Microsoft Excel, a very good calculator. Microsoft Word, a very good typewriter. But now, NVIDIA, which makes the chips that cost a fortune that drive AI, every AI program is trained on NVIDIA, every one. When NVIDIA came along, they got their start in video games. Why were those chips important? Because the screen kept changing. You had to shoot the bad guys or shoot the planes or shoot the drones. And so all of the screen changes were instantaneous. So you needed a computer that would not do this and then this and then this. You needed a computer that would do these things and these things and these things and these things all simultaneously. There's a word for that. It's called a neural network based on how the brain works. And that's what NVIDIA championed. So this book is kind of how to think about using AI. Turn to page 2, the first inside page. Keep your pen handy. Be ready to mark it up. Here we go. Underneath the book image, what is the point? Artificial intelligence is here, and it's only going to get much, much better. This book came out in 2024. We have already had leaps. We've gone from ChatGPT 3 to 4 to 5, all very quickly. And so we should probably learn to live with and work with AI because it is here to stay. All right, on the right, why is this book worth our time? Number one, this book describes what AI is doing and some of what AI will most certainly do, and we ain't seen nothing yet. Number two, this book is a tutorial on how to work with AI now, but things can change. And number three, this book provides something of a meditation on what it means to be human in the midst of the rise of AI. So, how do we keep our humanity as technology begins to take things over? Now, what you have for the next few pages are the best of my highlighted passages from the book. And when you see one in a large font or bold, that's my emphasis. Now, I'm going to read a bunch of these. Circle the ones that grab you. We're going to move through fairly quickly. Number one, there will come a moment when you realize that large language models, that's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, it figures out how to use language. It started out the next word and then the next word, and now it's the next idea and the next idea. But there will come a moment when you realize that large language models, the new form of AI that powers services like ChatGPT, don't act like you expect a computer to act. Instead, they act more like a person. Is this thing thinking? Not really, but it sounds and feels like it. All right? Number two, over the years, AI has promised much more than it has delivered, but that is changing. It is delivering. Turn to page 3, number 8. An AI that has blown through both the Turing test, Alan Turing, Great Britain, who broke the German Enigma code in World War II. An AI that has blown through both the Turing test, can a computer fool a human into thinking it is a human, and the Loveless test, can a computer fool a human on creative tasks? Within a month of its invention, an AI that aces our hardest exams. Let me pause. ChatGPT-1 made around a 12% on the bar exam. ChatGPT-4 made around a 97% on the bar exam. 12% to 97% in about a year and a half. An AI that aces our hardest exams, from the bar exam to the neurosurgery qualifying test. An AI that maxes out our best measures for human creativity and our best tests for sentience. This is what the AI is doing. Number 11, most large language models are gaining multimodal capability. It's making videos, it's making paintings, it's making art of all kinds, which will allow them to learn about the world in new and unpredictable ways. Scary, smart, scary smart. Number 13, GPT-4, remember we're now on 5, GPT-4 models human writing and interaction so well that it can convince us that it has feelings and thoughts, when instead it is cleverly playing a role that I subtly give it. Comment, it makes us think it has feelings and thoughts. So among all of the jobs that will be replaced by AI, the first one will be husbands. Okay. Number 15. And then there are the so-called frontier models. the most advanced and largest LLMs available. And that's the ones we will focus on most in this book. These systems, like GPT-4, are incredibly expensive to build, and they require specialized computer chips and large data centers to operate. And one of the problems that at the moment we're facing is the amount of electricity it is using. And if that is not solved, we're going to have a real problem. But the optimists of AI, the boomers, not baby boomers, but the people who believe that everything is going to boom, are convinced that AI itself will solve the energy problem. Anyway, it is these advanced LLMs that are showing us the potential future of AI capabilities. Despite just being a predictive model, the frontier AI models, trained on the largest data sets with the most computing power, seem to do things that their programming should not allow. Now, underline this part of the sentence. We're on number 15. Seem to do things that their programming should not allow, a concept called emergence. And let me just help you with this. It's creatively, inventively figuring out stuff to do. That's a human trait. That's pretty amazing. All right, turn to page 4. Number 20, the CEOs of the major AI companies even signed a single-sentence statement stating in 2023, mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. Yet every one of those companies continued AI development. Why? The most obvious reason is that developing AI is potentially very profitable, potentially. So take your pen, and I want you to write down, kind of in that white space, 20-80. 2080. And here's what you've just written. There is a term used in AI called P-doom. P-D-O-O-M. P-doom. And that means the probability of doom. And 20% of AI experts believe that AI is going to wipe us out. 20%. 80%, including Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, believe that it is going to solve every problem. Now let me step back and say, it will solve every problem like poverty and income inequality and tension and conflict and global warming. But so far, I have not found a single paragraph in any of these books that say that AI will solve the biggest problem we're facing, the Jerry Jones Cowboys problem. So, that one we can't find. Turn to page 25. I'm sorry, page 4, number 25. It will break its original rules if I can convince it that it is helping me, not teaching me how to make napalm. But once you can manipulate an AI to overcome its ethical boundaries, you can start to do some dangerous things. So yes, there have been reports of people being taught how to commit suicide by asking ChatGPT. So we've got some things to work around. All right, turn to page 5, number 35. There is no reason to suspect that the abilities of AI systems are going to stop growing anytime soon. How about ever? We are playing Pac-Man in a world that will soon have PlayStation 6s. All right, number 43. This one's important. Put a star beside 43. AIs will be able to pick up subtle signals of what their users want and act on them. Humans can be difficult to interact with, but perfect AI companions are a true near-term possibility. The implications for intimacy and human relations are profound. Well, I don't have enough time to read any more of the highlighted passages, but take 30 seconds, turn to the person next to you and say, here's the one that grabbed me that Randy read. Everybody pick one and say that. You've got 30 seconds. Ready, go. Okay, I know that's not enough time, but everybody come back up here and turn to page 8. These are the thesis quotes of the book. These are the 3 most important excerpts from the book. AI works in many ways as a co-intelligence. That one phrase is worth circling. AI works as a co-intelligence. It augments or potentially replaces human thinking to dramatic results. Early studies of the effects of AI have found it can often lead to a 20 to 80% improvement in productivity across a wide variety of job types, from coding to marketing. Facebook is no longer hiring everyday coders. AI is doing all the coding. That's pretty big. All right, by contrast, when steam power, that most fundamental of general purpose technologies, the one that created the Industrial Revolution, was put into a factory, it improved productivity by 18 to 22%. And despite decades of looking, economists have had difficulty showing a real long-term productivity impact of computers and the internet over the past 20 years. So if you watch my hand a minute, in a book called The Second Machine Age, for centuries, GDP did this, and then the Industrial Revolution, it did this, and then the computer era, it did this, and then, pretend I'm up here, with AI, it's doing this. So it is unbelievably increasing productivity and ultimately GDP. Check the U.S. GDP over the last 50 years per year. You'll see what I'm talking about. So the next quote, so I want to try to take you on a tour of AI as a new thing in the world. A co-intelligence with all the ambiguity that the term implies. We have invented technologies from axes to helicopters that boost our physical capabilities, and others like spreadsheets that automate complex tasks. But we have never built a generally applicable technology that can boost our intelligence until now. Turn to page 9. At the top of the page, Ethan Mollick, who is a professor at the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, one of their famous graduates is Donald Trump, is a professor specializing in entrepreneurship and innovation. Indeed, I think that one of my advantages in understanding AI, he says, is that as a professor at Wharton, I have long studied and written about how technologies are used. By the way, in this part of the handout, anything in italics comes from the book. All right. Reminders of the possible dangers and possibilities. Well, the danger, the paperclip story. You tell AI to make as many paper clips as possible. And it takes every car, melts it down, and makes paper clips. It invents how to make paper clips with wood and cuts down every forest and makes paper clips. Get ready. It takes every human body, cuts it apart, and makes paper clips. That's the traditional, oh my goodness, what would happen if scenario. But look at the bold part there. A well-aligned AI will use its superpowers to save humanity by curing diseases and solving our most pressing problems. An unaligned AI could decide to wipe out all humans through any one of a number of means, or simply kill or enslave everyone as a byproduct of its own obscure goals. Since we don't even know how to build a superintelligence, figuring out how to align one before it is made is an immense challenge. But look at the last part of this section in bold. A superintelligent AI could, in theory, cure disease, solve global warming, issue in an era of abundance, acting as a benevolent machine god. Everything we need except the Jerry Jones problem. Okay. Now, here are some observations. We're skipping part of this. Go to the bottom of page 9, the major section at the bottom. It is getting a whole lot better, a whole lot faster. There's a columnist in the New York Times who wrote that ChatGPT-1 wasn't worth looking at. ChatGPT-3 got interesting. ChatGPT-4 and now 5 are changing the way the columnist works. Everything is getting better very much faster. So that is a key element of this. And we need to understand, I'm getting ahead of myself, that what we have today is going to be so poor so quickly, we won't believe it. So that's a key element. All right, look at the bold part under here. It is happening at a pace that dwarfs any other major technology. For instance, GPT-4 scored in the 90th percentile on the bar examination, when GPT 3.5 managed only the 10th percentile, and it's already higher now. It will, everybody circle this phrase, it will perform and replace a lot of jobs. Now, let me say something here. AI experts have to somehow not be hated entirely. So here's what they're saying. They're saying, well, technology has always replaced human work, but it's created more jobs. But the real experts behind the scenes are saying the jobs are going away. Get ready. Lawyers. AI is doing legal research, writing drafts of briefs. An expert on AI who knows the law says that by 2030, we will need 25% of the lawyers we need now. 25, 75 will be gone. Doctors. Anybody in here ever been to a doctor? Have any of you ever been to a doctor and you instead see a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant? Well, the latest research says that we will only need 40% of the doctors we have now. I'm not talking about the doctor shortage issue. We're talking about AI doing the diagnosis and listening and understanding and prescribing, and we're going to need only 40% of the doctors we have now. That's the latest finding. Okay. We can be fooled It does hallucinate, and I'm going to not talk much about this because it is already dramatically less of a problem than it was when this book came out a year ago. It is also not very diverse, and that's a problem. Turn to page 10. AI is a connection machine. To take a canonical example, the Wright brothers combined their experience as bicycle mechanics and their observations of the flight of birds to develop their concept of a controllable plane that could be balanced and steered by warping its wings. They were not the inventors of the bicycle, the first to observe birds' wings, or even the first people to try to build an airplane. Instead, they were the first to see the connections. Steve Jobs of Apple. Anybody old enough to remember the first iMac that looked like an egg with a colorful background? Anybody remember that? All right, get ready for this. Steve Jobs spent an entire day at a jelly bean factory looking at colors of jelly beans and took back 4 jelly beans to Apple and said, I want these 4 colors. Now, I got to tell you that A, that's brilliant, and B, I don't know any other human being who would have done that. That's a connection. So that's the idea. And don't forget that AI is producing and will produce images, paintings, music, videos at the next Paradigm Shift conference, at the one in 10 years from now. Standing here will be the robot presenting. I don't really know that, and I hope that's not true, but you're wondering, so I'm going to tell you. I wrote my handout myself after reading the book. AI did not write a single sentence of this handout. Now, what I don't know, although he said no, is that did Ethan Mollick have any AI writing any of his paragraphs? I don't think he did, but that's coming. Now, everybody take your pen and put a box around the entire next section. This is the book right here. 4 rules for co-intelligence. The fact is that we live in a world with AIs, and that means we need to understand how to work with them. So here are the rules. Principle number 1, always invite AI to the table. Here's something you can do right now. I mean, not right now, wait until after this conference is over. But I want you to open up ChatGPT and say, here is my job. Here are my 5 most crucial tasks. Give me 10 ideas to do my work better. Brainstorm with AI. I brainstorm multiple times a week. And so that's something you can do. Always invite AI to the table. Principle 2, be the human in the loop. So AI works best with human help. Practice getting good with prompts. Write that down somewhere. Practice getting good with prompts. Principle number 3, treat AI like a person, but tell it what kind of person it is. Hey, ChatGPT, you are a group of professionals in Cedar Hill at a conference. How should I approach them? So you give it some indication of who you're talking about. And principle number 4, circle this one, put 10 stars beside it. Assume that ChatGPT 5 is the worst AI from now on you will ever use. That is profound. It's the worst you will ever use. Well, I've already talked about outsiders and paradigm shifts. We're getting close to the end. I'm about to do my lessons and takeaways and one more thing. But I want to give you one more news item. This is really interesting. How many of you have ever used Google? All right. How many of you are now beginning to use ChatGPT more than Google? All right. I'm using it almost all the time. Google was on the verge of being broken up in multiple ways, in harmful ways, because it had a monopoly on search. They threw it out in the last week and a half, saying that's no longer true because ChatGPT is replacing Google on search. Holy mackerel. All right, turn to page 11, and here are 7 lessons and takeaways. Number 1, AI is just going to get better and better and better. Number 2, you might want to be playing with and working with AI every day, very often, all the time. Always invite AI to the table. Number 3, the better prompter advantage is great now, but will likely be short-lived. Number 4, AI seems to help the less than great workers more than the great workers. Therefore, the gap will close. The lower level workers will become more valuable than they are now. That's intriguing. Number 5, yes, the dangers are great, but the boom may be better. Number 6, we need to figure out a way to reward the creative AI users at work rather than punish them for using AI. And number 7, always be on the lookout. You could be fooled. Look at the other sheet real quick. I have presented all of these books, and I have a handout just like this for every one of them. At the very bottom, there is a website. It's a box folder. Go to that website, and you can get all of my handouts for free on these 14 AI books. I have enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Don't go buy any black rotary phones.